Welcome back, everybody. Hour 2 on this Thursday morning, ready to rock and roll. We mentioned the game last night in Grand Forks. We also showed you the highlights from Seattle last night as the Bison women lost to the University of Washington, playing a Big Ten opponent. As again, reminder, University of Washington plays in the Big Ten, and no rest for the weary. Bison are right back on the floor later today, 2 o'clock Central Time tip, as they'll take on Boise State for their final non-conference road game for the Road Warriors. They'll get to finally come home. They've got one more non-conference game left. That's after Christmas with Dakota Wesleyan. Then it's on to the Summit League as we welcome on Jory Collins. Joins us each and every Thursday at 10 a.m., waking him up bright and early, but his team's got a game here in a few hours. Is that the best remedy today to come back, don't have to worry about it and get rid of yesterday? We're going to come back out and play today. Yeah,
I love that we play here in 4 hours, Dom. So we're ready to – we talked about last night's game. We watched some film. We're getting ready to do film and scouting report here as soon as I get off with you and just get locked in. There's no shoot around this morning. We're going to go to the gym, get warmed up, and go compete.
I mentioned earlier when we were doing the highlights, Jory, that this was the antithesis of your games this year. You've been a great first quarter team. That was not what happened yesterday. Well, tell us why. What did Washington do so well yesterday?
Well, we've talked a lot about how good a starts we've gotten off to, and then, in certain games, having to make some third quarter adjustments, and just it's taken us too long to do that. And yesterday, excuse me, it was the first quarter. So Washington came out, did something they hadn't done in their first, 10 games of the year, and they switched every screen 1 through 5 on the ball and off the ball. And it took us a full quarter to recognize, refocus, and then, figure out a way to attack that. And that was about 8 minutes too long for my liking. And we just dug ourselves a hole. And against a team of that caliber, that's talented, you can't get down whatever it was, 22-6 in the first quarter, and then expect to be able to win a road game like that. So that was very, very frustrating. Yeah. I told you, they're a good team. It was going to be a tough road win, but I expected us to be right there the whole game. And the fact that we weren't, was disappointing.
There are no moral victories, I know, for you, but you outplayed them in the second half. You outscored them by 6 points. What did you see out of the locker room that was different from the first half of the first 20 minutes of the game?
Yeah, just the mindset of attacking mindset. We were on our heels in the first quarter, and we were the aggressor. I would even say from the third quarter as well. Or I'm sorry, second, third, and fourth. I thought we played pretty good basketball. So there was some bright spots in there. I've challenged our team here recently to be better rebounders. That's an area where I feel like we've been probably the weakest point of our game, and Washington is a terrific rebounding team. They've played LSU, they've played UCLA, who's number 1. They played Utah right before us. They're playing top 25 teams and out rebounding them by 7 on average. And then we beat them on the glass last night by 6. And Abby Draper and Avery Coonan, each with double figure rebounding efforts. Saw some things that we talked about in practice show up in the game. And that was great to see. So there was some growth there in some of those areas we've been talking about. And I thought both of them were pretty terrific in the second half, going against, Delia Daniels is really good. Eke Grill, the post player, is really good for them. So I thought they, got the better of that matchup in the second half for sure, which was a great positive.
To see, you mentioned that. I was going to ask you about that. It's a good segue on the rebounding. Is it been a positioning thing so far this year, and why was it better yesterday in your mind?
Well, so what we find out when we get around some little bit bigger athletes, some stronger kids, and maybe physically in the upper body we're not as strong. We tend to hook, we tend to hold with one arm and try to go get rebounds with one and tip it around, and just not beneficial, not realistic that you're going to get the ball as many times. And look, Drapes and Avery are good rebounders anyways. They're both going to get 6 or 7. But when I turn on the film and see, well, you could have had 10 or 11 pretty easily because you are a good box out player. You are in decent position. You got to be able to go get it with 2 hands. So, the emphasis has been 2-hand rebounding. We did a drill Friday and Saturday. We need more people chasing the ball. Everybody's got a get back guy or a get back guy or 2. And if your guy's a get back guy, that doesn't mean you don't have the defensive rebound. You should be running in there and getting the loose ball, the one that's tipped around and those kind of things. And we talked, Heaven was great at that last year.
Yeah.
She would just run in there and go get balls before anybody else who was boxing out. She never had a box out guy because her man was getting back all the time. And so just, emphasizing some of that is what we got to get. We got to get more of that out of our guards. And then, our good rebounders got to be two-hand rebounders.
So now you mentioned it's right back into the frying pan here today with Boise State, and I was looking at their stats here going into our interview today. They've played a ton of teams. They're coming in here. They're 10-2 on the season. This is another big challenge for your group today.
Yeah, they're extremely well coached. They do what they do. Veteran group. I think we looked out there. We're watching them yesterday, and obviously knew that from our scout leading up. But there's 4 or 5 kids that played a lot against us 2 years ago when we played that tournament in Reno.
Yep.
Over Thanksgiving. And so, some of those kids we're familiar with from competing with them last time. They've all grown and matured. They just do what they do on both ends of the floor, really assignment correct and fundamental. They're going to take a good effort today for us to get them.
When you match up with this team, especially we mentioned going right back out there, how important, especially for your younger players, to have a short memory, to put that away. Okay, we got to go out here and play. We got a whole new game here today.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. And we match up really good with Boise. I would say very similar athletes, very similar size, actually fairly similar style of play and what we do in the half court. So they remind me a lot of the Vermont team that we've played, in that kind of style of team. Not overly fast, but man, they got good shooters. They got good post players. We have several kids, I think, that were disappointed in how they played last night, Dom.
Yeah.
And I hope are really excited to get back out there and flush that and go out and just play how we're capable of playing. I mean, we're capable of beating anybody.
Yeah.
'Cause when we play well, we're really good. The problem is when we don't play well, we're really bad, and we got to get rid of that.
This is the end of the road, and now that you play today and you're flying back home and finally get to travel in your own time zone for the most part for the rest of the year. Now that you have it in the rearview mirror, would you do it? I know you were at the mercy of some of this. Would you do it again this way, scheduling wise?
I mean, probably not. I mean, it's not ideal. I mean, to be, going every week to multiple sides of the country, just for, the mental part of it.
Yeah.
And also, we're playing good teams, not anywhere close to our home turf. There's a lot of factors that go into these games that, can influence things one way or the other. And you're just not putting yourself in the best possible situations, but we're also fairly limited in how we're able to do that as well. And some of these you schedule them without knowing what the other week is going to be yet. And you got to take what you can get in scheduling. And then all of a sudden you're trying to fit in, okay, we need 2 more games. What can we do? Well, the Charleston schools will take, okay.
Yeah. Come on out.
Or whatever.
Yep.
Or if we got the tournament, we can go to Washington. Okay. Well, that'd be 2 good teams to play. That'll help us get better. You have to really, for us, we really have to separate, our 2 seasons. And we have a non-con season and we have a conference season. And for me, this is about us growing, getting better, finding out about our team. Now, trust me, I get pissed off every time we don't win. And we are trying to win, but I want us to be ready to go in January. And I know these times are going to help us.
I look at, you got this stretch here now. You've had a little bit because you had almost a week off where you played and you got 10 days off. So what's the upcoming schedule like when you get back? Obviously the holiday, and then you got to play a couple days after Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, we don't get to fly back till tomorrow morning. So we'll stay the night tonight, even though we play early today and get them back as soon as possible tomorrow. And then they'll be free to go home for Christmas. We got a couple here, like AG's parents are here, mom's here. So she's just going to be able to go straight to Oregon from here. And Amelia's family got to come over, so they're here. They got family and are close by here, so she'll get to stay. But we'll be back. We'll be back in the gym on the 26th and get a good weight room session in, get some shots up, and then we'll get prepared for Dakota Wesleyan on the 29th. And then actually, it's going to be okay for us to have that bye, really that first week and get 4 or 5 days there to kind of get refocused and dialed in if we need to make some adjustments and some of those kind of things. we're going to have some time to do that, which will be nice.
How much practice time have you actually had, Jory? I know this past week you did, but how many actual, hey, in the gym, let's work?
Yeah,
it's been
not
far
very
from,
many.
yeah, right.
Not very many, Dom. I mean, you're trying to balance the recovery time.
Right.
There's a lot of film being watched and a lot of discussions, individual film and team film, and we're obviously on the practice floor. But when you're playing those kind of games in those situations and tournaments and travel, you're really a lot of prep in those practices for, hey, here's how we're going to guard, here's how we think they're going to guard us, and what the scheme's going to be. It was nice the other day, and it actually, like I said, it showed up. We concentrated on rebounding for 2 full days and on ourselves, and went out and rebounded probably the best we have all year. I need about 3 or 4 more of those practices, for a few other things.
Yeah.
And we're going to get those, and we'll get all dialed in, I know, before, the first of the year.
Not that you need a reminder. I was out watching. I saw Oral Roberts knock off Missouri last night, which is their second win over an SEC school. Are they better than last year? Is that a Captain Obvious statement?
I haven't watched them. Obviously, they have, a lot of the same players back. And I always, the non-con stuff, Dom, is a crapshoot. I mean, that's why I don't even really look at our stats and, league stats and all that. I mean, people are playing all kinds of teams, and you just have to.
Right.
So I don't know that there's really much info in there.
Okay.
When we start comparing each other to each other, I know they're good. They were great last year and got a lot of players back, have played well. I don't know that Missouri's all that this year. But to go into their place and beat them, I mean, that's a great win. And we'll find out when we start playing each other what everybody looks like.
When you look at, I guess to that point, so you're not spending too much or haven't spent too much time yet on what the other Summit schools are doing. That's
no. I mean, I look at scores.
Yeah.
Obviously, we scroll through on the Summit League website on who's playing today and what the scores are, but. When you get into who's leading the league in scoring and who's the best defensive team and who's rebounding and all that stuff, you can glance at that. But I mean, your stat, depending on who you just played, your stats going to look great or look bad. And there's not a lot of consistency there until we all start playing each other. So, it's, if you're winning and blowing people out, they look great. If you're playing really hard teams and you don't have great stats, it doesn't look great. But all of it means absolutely nothing until we actually start playing each other.
I'm not going to talk to you till after the holiday. So what are the Collins family traditions for Christmas? What do you got? What do you got planned here for next week?
Well, we're going to drive back to Kansas for just a couple days.
Nice.
I've really fallen in love with being in my own house on Christmas morning.
Yeah.
We did 3 years ago was the first year we've ever done that.
Nice.
So we're going to come back here on Christmas Eve and just me, Casey, Jet, and Jude on Christmas Day. Watch the Chiefs at noon. I'll probably throw a prime rib in the
There you
oven.
go. All right.
And whatever Christmas gifts we got, mess around with those all morning. Sit around, do nothing.
That's a good plan. And hope Netflix works, right? Because
hey, it better be better. It better be a little bit better than that fight I tried to watch that one.
Oh, did you try? Yeah.
Well, I had some friends in town, and I think we were at Brutus, and they had it on, and it just kept going out. I had it on my phone. I was trying to watch it on my phone, and it wouldn't work. And so I'm a little nervous.
They better not mess around with the NFL. I can tell you that, because there'll be a lot of people upset.
Another one if that doesn't work very good.
Especially with the teams they have on Christmas Day. I appreciate the time as always, bud. Good luck today. Safe travels home. Have a great holiday. Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Dom.
Great to see you. There he goes. Jory Collins joining us from Seattle. North Dakota State and Boise State coming up later today at 2 o'clock. Highlights of that on our news later tonight. We'll recap it tomorrow here on the show as the Bison play their final Division I non-conference opponent. Mentioned we got the Dakota Wesleyan game coming up on December the 29th, a week from Sunday, and that'll be it. Then it's off to Summit League play. The latest net rankings on the Summit League, the Jacks are at 41. Oral Roberts zoomed up 17 spots by virtue of its win yesterday over Missouri. They're at 69. North Dakota State is at 133. If they're able to knock off Boise today, Boise right now is at 91 in the net. So the Bison would zoom up a bit if they're able to get this one. And then it's a drop-off. Denver's at 189, Omaha 190, St. Thomas 203, South Dakota 278, UND at 280, and Kansas City at 333. And again, it's just like that is a drop. Now, I don't know what that means for league play. I can tell you that means you've been struggling. Kansas City is 1-9. Not great. Not great for what portends what's coming for Summer League play in just a couple weeks. We're overdue for a break. We'll take one now. We'll get caught up in a couple of emails. Our crack research team has given me Jerry Judy's Madden ranking, which apparently it's not as bad as Woody Johnson thinks it is. We'll do that when Hot Mike returns right after this on WDAY Extra, KSFL TV, and Inforum.com.